grew up in and around a lot of violence and abuse inside and outside the home, and had earned my way into multiple scholarships at university, be the first person in my family to go to and, God willing, graduate university. At 18, I became the thing that I hated the most. I became that violence and abuse, and at 18, I committed a violent crime. And unfortunately, I was looking at 7 years in prison. Luckily, by the grace of God and some luck, it was dropped to lesser charges, but I was sentenced to 2 years. And instead of going to university, I spent my 19th birthday incarcerated. I met a gentleman in the institution who became a mentor to me. He said, "Young blood, you're not going to become a part of this revolving door system." And with his mentorship, guidance, and love, when I got out, I went to work for a factory during the day, machine operator at a nuclear waste container factory, no kidding. I put myself through college at night, and one of the things I'm most proud of, Miko, is I went from a jail cell to the university to eventually being hired by Deloitte in just 3 years. Miko, I am incredibly happy to be here. We're talking across an entire ocean. Grateful and humbled and ready to lean in, brother. Talk about wherever you want to go today.
So I think the best place to start would be your origin story. For people who just found you, like me, months ago, and are wondering, okay, so this guy looks crazy. He's this best-selling author, traveling the world, speaking, changing people's lives. But you haven't always been like, what's your origin story?
People ask me the why I wrote Legendary, and it's the book and work that literally saved my life. And I'll take you back to the beginning. I grew up in the Southeast United States in Atlanta. It's a big city. It's probably the biggest city in the Southeast United States.
Yeah.
And grew up in and around a lot of violence and abuse inside and outside the home, and had earned my way into multiple scholarships at university, be the first person in my family to go to and, God willing, graduate university. At 18, I became the thing that I hated the most. I became that violence and abuse, and at 18, I committed a violent crime. And unfortunately, I was looking at 7 years in prison. Luckily, by the grace of God and some luck, it was dropped to lesser charges, but I was sentenced to 2 years. And instead of going to university, I spent my 19th birthday incarcerated. And so I met a gentleman in the institution who became a mentor to me. I didn't have very many mentors when I was growing up, and I was 18 years old. And he was an African-American gentleman. His name was Tony. He called me Young Blood. He said, "Young Blood, you're not going to become a part of this revolving door system." And with his mentorship, guidance, and love, when I got out, I went to work for a factory during the day, machine operator at a nuclear waste container factory, no kidding. I put myself through college at night, and one of the things I'm most proud of, Miko, is I went from a jail cell to the university to eventually being hired by Deloitte in just 3 years. And here's the rest of the origin story real quick. And so fast forward 15 years, Miko, you'd looked at me. I had the fancy suit, the watch, the pretty girl on my arm, the car, the corner office, the big title, all the things that said success, right? The external success. But on the inside, I was still that angry, insecure, scared guy. And when the title, the money, the office, the success, when all of that didn't light me up, I turned to the dark side. And I literally lived the Wolf of Wall Street lifestyle for years, and it almost cost me everything: my marriage, my business, my partnership, etc. I woke up in a ditch, not knowing how I got there after just days of craziness. And I said, no more will I not live my core values. No more will I be angry and scared. No more will I feel alone, and no more will I allow these negative thoughts to consume me. And so at that moment, I said enough. And I decided to make my professional and personal development with therapy, coaches, you name it, just to figure out who I was, where I was going, and how did I want to live. And I wasn't going to let these scars and wounds from my past define who I was. And fast forward a few years, I never planned on leaving the financial world. I was a senior partner, international practice leader, owner of the company. I was on the board of directors at 39 years old. But the coolest thing started happening when I finally just became Tommy. All of these entrepreneurs, executives, private equity, venture capitalists, my network, exec leaders reached out to me and they're like, you're now more successful on the outside than you've ever been, but now you're internally, you can tell you're at peace. You feel good about yourself. You can tell you're doing it your way and you're not pretending to be somebody you're not. How did you do it? And so that's how Legendary was born. They talked me into writing a book. I'm thankful it became a Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller, New York Times, here we come. But it's literally a book on how to not only be elite at what you do, because I think that's important. It's also a book to help you be elite who you are. And so my origin story, thank you for letting me share that, Miko, was a lot of pain, a lot of mistakes, a lot of internal reflection, and finally becoming self-aware and saying, look, man, I don't know if you're going to get a third go at this. So let's get it right this time. So that's how it all started, my friend.
Wow. It's going to be hard to top up this. That's a Marvel origin story right there.
I would have done it differently, but it's my origin story.
I'm so happy it worked out this way. When you mentioned your network basically asked you to write this book, was it coming from like a place of jealousy, as in, I've been doing this, what you're doing for longer, and I'm not nearly as happy as you are, teach me? What was the angle initially?
I think a lot of us high achieving entrepreneurs, business leaders, or people who want to make an impact in business, we're action takers, we're in the arena, we're motivated, we shoot straight, we want success, we want financial freedom and life freedom. But I think so many of us ambitious people, we all have the same struggles. We feel alone, overwhelmed, pressure. The voices in our head can get very loud. And so I think they wanted me to write it, and I believe they wanted me to write it to give people hope. But more importantly than hope is give people actionable steps to be more successful in their leadership, their business, but also be more successful in their lives and their most important relationships. They wanted me to write it to stop chasing the ghost of when I have more of this or when I get here, I'll be happy. No, you won't. Wherever you go, there you are. And you're either happy today or you're not. And no amount of money, no amount of external success, no amount of anything can really rewire that operating system. And so I think they wanted me to write it to give people tactical tools. This is how I did it. This isn't just theory. This isn't just something you go read in a professor teaching. This is life skills, life things that I do today, every day, to help me be the man, leader, entrepreneur that I want to be. And I've written a book I'll never live up to, but I've written a book that I take 8 steps forward and 2 back now, as opposed to the 10 backwards and 1 forward that I was taking in my former life. And so I think, again, a lot of higher achieving people, Legendary is for people who want help, who want to grow, who want to be better, who want to be more successful, who want to be elite and all things. It's not the people who need the help, because you got to want help. You got to want to grow. You got to want to lean in. You got to want to be better. And so Legendary is for the people who want. It's not for the wantrepreneurs. It's not for the spectators. It's not for the people who need motivation. It's for motivated people to just sharpen that pencil to be the best that they can possibly be on any given day. So that's who it was written for. The book, nor what we do in our retreats, our experiences, our masterminds, it's really not for the spectators. It's for the people that are actually in the arena. And so that's the audience that we wrote to, and that's the audience who requested that I write it. And I think it's done well because it's short, simple, but also it's tactical. Hey, I can do this and start now. It's not I have to wait a year or when I get there. No, I can go whatever section of the book, whether it's purpose, your network, finances, mastering your mindset, living the good. It doesn't matter whatever section it is. Wherever I need to grow or lean in, I can go do these things right now. And they're simple. They're not easy, but they're simple. They are easy to do, but it does require self-awareness, self-reflection, and change and leveling up. I believe that's why they wanted me to write it.
So playing devil's advocate a little bit, but what you're saying sounds like you can have it all. And to my logic and my brain, most of the outliers that I'm aware of, they have to heavily optimize for one of the dimensions of their life. If you want to be a chess master, that's your thing, that's what you do. And the other things in your life typically suffer. How do you make it differently?
To me, it's
Have it
about
all, I guess.
prioritizations, right? What you think about, what you prioritize is what you become. You are what you believe. And so for me, and you can't outperform how you feel. And to be elite in anything, for every yes or every choice you make, you're saying no to something else. And so if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, most of your focus is going to be on building your business. The art is about quality over quantity. Yes, you're going to have less time with important relationships. That's the choice you're making. That's the choice I have made. Yes, you're going to have less time doing these things. Yes, because I'm making a priority that I want to make an impact in business. I want to make an impact through employing others. So yes, will other things suffer? Not necessarily, because it can be about quality, fully present, 15 to 30 minutes with a great friend or with your significant other is better than 4 hours of just vegetating in front of the TV, not being present, not talking to them, not actually leaning in. So to me, it's about priorities, focusing, and I would also challenge people like, what does success and happiness look like for them? And happiness is a journey. Who and what do you want to be? What are the standards you want to set in yourself, for yourself? And what are your non-negotiables in life? And whatever those are, that's what you need to concentrate on. If you want to concentrate on being a world-class dad and a world-class husband, it will probably come at some compromise of your career, because you're going to have to prioritize, focus, reprioritize to define what success looks like and mean for you. And then you got to, like you said, get totally focused and go get it. That's why you hear the horror stories of so many elites they struggle in their personal lives, they struggle in their relationships, they struggle in their friendships. And it is about prioritizing, but it's also about quality over quantity. And you've got to make the decision, again, what success and what standards you're going to hold yourself to, and be okay with the compromises that those take. These are choices you have to make. And for me, building companies, employing people, but I also married an entrepreneur. So it's a little bit different. So her passion is business as well. And so for us, we like building. For us, we like employing. For us, we love the game of business. We even like it when we lose, because that's how we grow and learn. But those are the choices we make. And these are the choices we've made to be successful in our definition for success. So it's good to play devil's advocate. And here's the key. We're never going to be perfect. We're not immortal, because if we were perfect and immortal, this life would be super boring, because you never had anything to look forward to. There would never be any challenges. We'd just boring as hell, because you would never die. And so for me, can you have it all? No. But can you have more than most from a happiness, success, life? Yes. But it takes hard work and choices, and people are always looking for the easy button. And we're all, including this guy, inherently lazy. And so discipline equals freedom, and discipline is the highest form of unconditional love for yourself. But it takes choices and compromises and priorities and, again, standards. And standards matter, man. And so what standards do people want to hold themselves to become the person they want to do? Because we all have challenges. We all have life. We all get sick. We're all going to die. We're all going to become worm food. It's just, how do you want to live your life every day? And when you put your head down at night, did you win the day or not win the day? And if you didn't win the day, how are you going to win tomorrow? And you got to define what that looks like for you. I hope that answered your question, Miko.
It does. But do you think everybody can be legendary? Can everybody achieve the legendary life?
Legendary is aspirational. And the reason we chose the word, it's a great question. Yes. Let me answer. Yes. 100%. But what does that mean to them? Because legendary is given to us, and it can be given in all the wrong ways and all the right ways. And what I hope at the end of my life, whenever that is, knock on wood, hopefully another 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years at the rate we're going. But at the end of my life, I want to know I'd made an impact, that I helped make my fellow human beings in this world a better place than I found it. I hope that I focused on being the best human that I could be. And my hope, and the reason we called the book Legendary, is hopefully somebody will say Tommy Breedlove built and lived a legendary life. Because if I came on the show and said, Miko, you know that I'm legendary, people laugh at me like, okay, yeah, arrogant, insecure prick. But yes, do I believe every single human being has the capability of being legendary, whatever that means to them? 100%. But will they take the actions, make the priorities, and set the standards and have non-negotiables in order to go build that life, whatever legendary means to them? And it is the only power we have in this entire planet is our choices. That's it. We can lead, we can influence, we can inspire, we can take action, but that action is the choices. And for me, whatever legendary means to you or your audience or to Tommy Breedlove, that's the intention. The intention is I want to live that life. And then you got to go take action on that intention, because intention without action is hope, and hope is delusion without action. And so you got to set the intention. This is how I want to build a legendary act. And then you got to take the actions to start going towards it, because no one's saving you. There is no magic pill. There is no quick fix. No one's coming, and definitely no damn politician is going to help you. And so you got to go out there and help yourself the best that you can. And where you and I are talking, we're in places that we can go make great choices. And for the most part, we have all the freedoms that we need to have to go be and become the people that we want to be. Yes, I do believe it. Yes, I do want it for everyone, but they got to want it and they got to take it.
What advice do you have for people who want to break out of the mold, who maybe spend years and years on autopilot, doing the right things, going to work, making money, and trying to make progress, but feel like their life is completely ordinary as opposed to legendary? How do they start?
The first thing they do is self-awareness. They got to look in the mirror and ask themselves, do I want to remain on the hamster wheel? And if my life were to end today, would I regret the way I have lived it? Would I regret being on that hamster wheel? The first thing I would tell them is they're not alone. I think so many of us think we're alone, and we're not. There's millions of others who feel the same way. There's millions of others who are struggling with the same things. There's millions of others who have negative thoughts and who are hard on ourselves and all the things. And the first thing I would say is you're not alone. The second thing I would say is, what small choice, like, how do you feel? Okay, you know that you're not where you want to be. You're on a hamster wheel. You know you're not living the life that you wanted to live. So that's awareness. Now, what kind of life do you want to live? What do you want? I want them to want. And as long as they want something better, bigger, different, as long as they want it, and they need is scarcity, wanting is dreaming, wanting is creation, wanting is abundance. You got to remember how to dream, but you've got to want. And what do you want? Is it more happiness? Is it more money in your bank account? Is it more and better friends? Where are you struggling? Is it I'm negative and just talk down to myself all day? And you got to pick the thing that you want the most right now, or the thing that you think you want the most of right now. Okay, start with that intention. I want to be more happy. Then you got to go take action on happiness. And there's 1,000 different podcasts, 1,000 different books, 1,000 different things. With read Legendary, or hell, if you don't want to read Legendary, I will read it to you on Audible. And there are tons of tips on how to find more happiness, how to find more gratitude and joy in your life, how to set intentions and goals and priorities and find purpose and go take action on those things. But number one is awareness. Number two is knowing you're not alone. Number three is making the choice to do something different than you did yesterday. Sure. Because what people don't know too, and this gets a little bit into neuroscience, 95% of what you think and do every single day is the same thing you thought and did yesterday. 95%. And that's it. And I'm going to go through this really fast. There's your subconscious brain. It's also your reptilian brain. It's your fight or flight. And it hates change because in the past, when change or things were different, there could be great harm to us. Then there's your monkey brain. And I'll use the fun word. So there's your robotic brain. There's your monkey brain. And that's the thing that gets distracted with all the sex and the chocolate and the beer and the things that we desire that give us instant dopamine hits, all those things. And then there's your sage brain. And your sage brain wants to grow. It wants to expand. It wants to make an impact. It wants things to change in your life, but you're fighting the 95%. And so what you've got to realize is anything that was wired into anything that you believe, especially limiting beliefs, they were taught to you. Know that with certain habits and with certain daily actions, your heart muscles will get stronger, your mind muscles will get stronger, your spiritual muscles will get stronger, your money mindset muscles will get stronger, because you will be taking small daily actions to rewire that operating system, to rewire that robotic brain to think differently, to feel differently, to project different energy, which daily habits and actions with some discipline, you can rewire any limiting belief. So here again, number one is they're not alone. Number two, set the intention of what you want. Number three, take small daily actions. And I would ask everybody, are they worth 1 hour a day? Because the most selfless thing you can do is to spend an hour a day on yourself, getting your body, mind, heart, and soul stronger. Because when you lead, love, and respect yourself first, which is the most selfless thing that you can do, you can go out there and lead, love, and respect others better. And ultimately, that will create happiness. It will create growth. And eventually, depending on what choices you make, it can create success internally and externally for you. But they're not alone. They have to realize that. But they got to look in the mirror and know that is the problem and solution to everything in their life. But what are they going to do about it? What intentional action are you going to take to be better than you were yesterday? And it's endless, the resources out there for people. It's endless. There's these podcasts like yours, brother, and the books that have been written and the access to information now. If you're not happy or successful, you just got to go find the mirror and say, hey, man, what am I going to do? Because the tools are out there.
Love it. And I agree. But isn't that also the part of the problem that A, now you've got access to too much information, and B, there's this thing called social media. And you can always find someone who's more successful and more handsome and richer.
It's fantasy. And it's also very addictive. And I'm in complete agreement. We're in a war of mass distraction, and we're in a war for our attention. And our attention is the most intimate thing you can give to someone or something. And what you put your attention to owns you. And so do you want to own your technology, or do you want your technology to own you? Mindlessly flipping through Instascam or Tiki-Tac or your LinkedIn successful or Instagram fabulous. And we have all the social. We have someone who does it for us. But where you put your attention, where you put your energy, and where you spend your time, that matters. And show me your habits and the 5 people you associate with, and I will tell you your future. And if you were outsourcing hours a day to very addictive technology, very addictive phones for instant dopamine hits, or to just zone out into fantasy, you have outsourced your happiness, you have outsourced your success, and you have become the slave. It owns you. You don't own it. And so there's a reason that Mark Zuckerberg at Meta, he covers up all of his microphones. He doesn't let his kids use computers. He covers them all up because he knows the psychological addiction of social media. And what people aren't putting on social, some people are, but they're not putting their day-to-day struggles. They're not putting their real life. Here's me with the kids on vacation. Here's me standing in front of a car that I can barely afford. It doesn't really matter. But it's there to promote that instant dopamine hit. And it's literally the same addiction as heroin. And my recommendation is once a week, take a technology sabbatical. See if you can do it. Try an hour, or don't take your phone to the bathroom first thing in the morning. Because what are you doing? You're emailing, you're texting, emailing someone else's to-do list, texting some distant, far-off conversation, social media, someone else's fantasy. And so you're automatically not doing the things that's going to make you happy and healthy. And for me, the mass distractions of 24-hour news, social media, we have 15 different streaming services now. And if you're giving them your energy, if you're giving them your time and your attention, you're giving them the best and most intimate parts. And I would really question that. And are they serving you? Are they making you happy? Are they making you better? Are they giving you the life of your dreams? Probably not. So it is a war of mass distractions right now. And we're more connected than we ever been. And we're at the same time more disconnected than we've ever been. And so people are craving authenticity and connection now more than they ever have.
And yet our kids are growing this world, right?
Yeah.
That's the only one they're gonna know. Like, I guess Mark Zuckerberg can afford to get them to not use social media and not use computers, but what does a normal person do?
Turn it off. You just got to turn it off. And as a parent, you can allow your kids to have access or not to have access. Do you want them to get out there and play and fail and get dirt on their knees and have some fun and make some mistakes and go live? Or do you want them to outsource their brain attention to media? So there's parenting responsibilities there. There's personal responsibilities for us, quote, normal people. Turn it off. Are you going to be a servant to it, or is it going to serve you? And show me someone who spends a significant amount on social media every day. And I think it's called X now, but it used to be called Twitter. And there was statistics, and I don't want to butcher the statistics, but if you were on Twitter more than 2 minutes a day, or it was either 2 or 4 minutes, I can't remember, you were 60% more likely to say you had a bad day. Think about the power of that. And every time you get distracted, if you have your email up, you're texting up, you're looking at social, you're 40% less productive at work. Who doesn't want 40% more of their day back? And so there's real data, there's real depression. Turn the damn thing off, but realize you are addicted to it. And again, it goes back to choices. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to watch the news and get angry and get scared and insecure, knowing that those are highly paid actors feeding you a script to scare you, to make you angry, and to sell you more advertising? So you are the user. If it's a free thing, you are the product. And do you want to be the product? There's drug dealers and there's social media. They call us users. And do you want to be the product, or do you want to be the solution? Do you want it to serve you, or are you going to serve it? And it's very psychologically addictive. And it's just turn it off. It's literally that simple.
Yeah, that's the business they're in.
Yep.
Addiction.
Just like gambling. If you look at it, it is really tailored after the psychological of gambling and winning and dopamine. And it's fascinating. There's a great book, and I can't remember who wrote it. It's called Peak Performance. And they really dive in on the data, the neuroscience. There's another one called The Confident Mind, of how devastating and really addictive it all is. And yeah, it's a really fascinating read, and it'll really make you think, I don't want to be the user anymore. And so it's choices.
I mean, I heard you talk about the concept of self-leadership. What is self-leadership?
Starts with self-awareness, knowing thyself. So me, the hardest person to lead is yourself. It's the absolute hardest person to lead. And so self-leadership, to me, if people ask me, what does the world need more of? It would not be love, empathy, and compassion. We all have that. We're losing it through social media and mass media, but we all are born with that. We have it. 99.99% of people are wonderful human beings. There are some evil people in the world, but most of us are not. So to me, I'm going to answer your question, what does self-leadership mean? It starts with self-awareness and accountability. So self-awareness, knowing thyself and truly knowing thyself, the mask that you wear to show up in the world, to pretend this is the armor I put on. These are the masks that I wear to fit in, to be liked, etc. Here's my unknown potential. I'm going to go find my unknown potential, the person I could become. There's my blind spots. And if you're involved in a wonderful mastermind or hang out with the right people, people will help you with your blind spots. These are things others can see in me that I can't see in myself. And so there's the masks that I wear that I know about that no one else knows about. There's my unknown potential. God willing, I'm moving and working my butt off to get to there. There's my blind spots. And then there's the arena that we play in every day. You become so self-aware of who you are, where you're going, who's coming with you, your core values, your non-negotiables, and your standards. And then you lead and hold yourself accountable to going to meet those standards, to going to become that unknown potential, to put down those masks and to become your authentic self and to work on those blind spots. To me, that is self-leadership. And that is the doorway to success in business and life. You have to go from ignorance, that's just not knowing. Then you have to go to awareness. This is how I feel, and this is why I don't like the way I feel, or this is where I show up here, and I don't like the way I show up here, or here's what I want, and I don't have that. So it goes from ignorance to awareness. And then here's the kicker. You have to take intentional actions and make the choice to transform. So ignorance, awareness, transformation, mastery, then leadership. Mastery is the 1,000 reps, internally and externally. Nobody came out of the womb being good at what they did. They learned it. They did the reps. Same thing goes with your heart muscle, your mind muscle, your soul muscle, your financial muscle, and also your physical muscles. And so to me, self-leadership is going from ignorance to awareness. Awareness, taking the action to transform. From transform, you start doing the reps, 1,000 reps, you become a master of your mindset. You have a master of your future, and then you teach others. That's leadership. But self-leadership is all about self-awareness and really accountability to hold yourself to your core values and the standards that you hold so dearly. That's what self-leadership is. That's where people fail.
That's easily one of the most information-dense half hours that I spent. So for anybody listening to this, I think take a few minutes and reflect on that. What's next for Tommy Breedlove? For a person who understood this and is now sharing with everybody else, what's next for you? What's your next step?
My next step is, it always starts with holding myself accountable, just like we talked about here, is I don't have it all figured out. I have to work on my mind, heart, soul, marriage, friendships every single day. But what's next for me tangibly is we're excited. Legendary is all about self-leadership. It's about becoming the person internally and externally, success inside and out that you want to be. Legacy, book 2, is going to be all about how to lead others, build world-class cultures, make great impact in business, but how you influence and lead others. So that's what's coming up for us. We're going to continue to build Legendary. So if you're in the arena, you're an action taker, you want to make high impact in business, come check us out. Come to one of our experiences, hang out with other entrepreneurs and business leaders who want to make an impact in business. We're going to continue to grow Legendary. We have multiple levels of mastermind programs. We have wonderful business and leadership events. We have world-class mindset retreat. But most importantly, we have an elite community of people who want to do business and life together, have fun together, grow together, but then hopefully make some money while they do it. What's next for me is continuing to build Legendary. What's next for me is continuing to fight the mass media who wants us to be lazy, who wants us to be entitled, who wants us to be victim, and who wants us to get scared. We're fighting against that. I want us to take the reins back. I want us to know that we are the problem and solution, hold ourselves accountable, join groups like Legendary where elite people do elite things in elite places, but God willing will make a difference in this world. So for me, it's going to be to continue building Legendary, to write legacy, and to God willing, I'm grooming 2 or 3 people right now that I believe are better than I am in these businesses, and to ultimately hand it over to them. And so that's what's next for me, brother. So thank you for letting me share all that. Thank you for having me, and hopefully somebody will be inspired to take an intentional action to be a little better than they were yesterday. And don't forget, if you're not a reader, I will read Legendary to you on Audible. So you really don't have an excuse.
Tommy Breedlove, everybody. TommyBreedlove.com. The book is not hard to find. Legendary on Amazon or Audible.
LiveLegendary.today. That's the good one. LiveLegendary.today.
Hey, thanks for coming and thanks for making a difference.
Mick, you're the best. Thank you, brother.